I suppose the fundamental difference in relation to the curriculum for Wales is that it's a curriculum that's starting with purposes. Those 4 purposes which are at the heart of the curriculum for Wales define all that happens thereafter. They're the reference point for the decisions we take about what we teach, and how we assess. In the past, we've defined a curriculum in terms of coverage. So we're moving from a coverage-based curriculum to a purpose-driven curriculum, and that's a very important change. And it's liberating in a number of ways. Having decided what you're trying to achieve through the purposes, you're then in a better position to decide what really matters inside the curriculum. What is it that matters in terms of those young people, those purposes being fulfilled for the young people of Wales? And that allows you to winnow out some of the stuff which can lead to a curriculum becoming overloaded, a curriculum becoming top-heavy in terms of the content that we put into it. The purposes provide a filter. As well as pointing the way ahead, they also help us to filter out the kind of things which find their way into what happens and actually aren't necessarily integral to what young people need to learn. So point 1, purposes are right at the heart of the new curriculum, and that and Wales really means it. You can see in most curriculums you'll have a set of aims which appear somewhere, and then what happens thereafter bears little or no relationship to those aims. But in the Welsh curriculum, those purposes are a driver, and you can see that throughout the work of the pioneer schools and very directly in the framework that's been produced. Beyond that, the kind of things that are importantly different about the curriculum is the way in which the curriculum addresses progression. It sees progression as something which needs to be as smooth as possible, where there's a clear line of sight from when young people enter the school system to the point at which they move on to the next stage at 16 or beyond. At the moment, we tend to have a number of punctuation marks in the curriculum, be that through key stages or levels. What this curriculum is trying to do is to say those points are getting in the way of progression. They mask as much as they tell you about young person's learning. So a new approach, new thinking about progression, a very important part of the new curriculum. Thirdly, it provides the opportunity for a much richer form of learning experience for young people and a much more satisfying classroom experience all round. So the nature of the pedagogy that will underpin the new curriculum, the way in which the curriculum is framed means that pedagogy can be much more imaginative and much more creative than is the case where you're simply trying to cover as much as possible of a predetermined curriculum. And finally, a really critical point about it is it's changing how we think about assessment. So for a whole host of reasons over the course of the last 20 or 30 years, assessment has come to be primarily driven by making judgments in order to deliver a verdict. So assessment used to give a verdict on whether a child has reached a certain level, or a verdict on whether a school is good, bad or indifferent. What the new curriculum is doing is saying what we need to do is to use assessment for what it does best, and that is to help children progress in their learning, to help the teacher and the young person together to chart a path through the learning journey that the young person is on. So assessment primarily is about that process of helping young people learn, and that's right at the heart of the new curriculum.
What makes the new curriculum different, distinctive, innovative, I think, is the focus on the progression of learning itself, not just on the product of learning, not simply specifying a range of standards that a young person must reach in order to demonstrate that they've done a good job, but actually paying attention to what the journey of learning looks like. And I think that's tremendously empowering.
This curriculum is fundamentally different from the previous curriculum. First of all, it's far less prescriptive. It opens up spaces for teachers to be creative and to develop their own understandings of their own work with children in their own schools, and to make sure that the curriculum in Wales matches local circumstances. It's also a far more liberating experience, both for teachers and for learners, and it encourages both teachers and learners to see themselves as centrally being involved in co-constructing this new vision of what education is going to be in Wales.